Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the HGC Minute. SDE, great Li-Ming player. But we're in our first series of the night. 2-0 lead for Gen.G. The scoreline, a little bit closer, I think, if you look deeper into that Dragonshire game. Was not a one-sided map by any means. But now we're heading into Game 3.
And that game, too, was pretty impressive by No Chat's Illidan. First of all, they weren't really using too much, and I was saying, when Gen.G was sweeping through game number 1, Supernova, whatever they tried to do with that comp at the early game, didn't work out. Game 2, they actually have a draft where they can actually get control by controlling the other lane. They don't really have to follow Gen.G's macro as much, and they maintained somewhat of a lead as well. So we could see what they were trying to do. They actually executed okay, but their team fight mechanics and how they were actually holding the team fight together with that teamwork, that just lacked about 10%. I think that's what they really need to work on.
Yeah, I think if they have, if they can just coordinate a little bit better and make their decisions a little bit faster.
Yeah, just small things.
Yeah, I think it's like the speed of the decisions, because the decisions are really good. And I mean, at this level of play, like hesitating for 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds can actually be the difference between a win and a loss in a team fight. Where you're trying to make that decision: do we jump onto Rich on the Thrall? Do we go in for the fight at the top lane instead? How do we use the hunt here? And in that moment of communication for 3 seconds, you know, that's when Rich survives and the rotation comes down.
Yep, and for Gen.G, it's the other way. They literally, usually one of the DPS or one with the CC screams one name, and they just get everything together. They don't even say anything else, and they win the game scream after. That's the type of team. If you went to Eastern Clash or any other offline events like MSB, if you saw them screaming the shot calls, they don't talk about anything. Basic macro plays a little bit, and then for the team fight, they just wait, scream one name. That's basically the start and the finish.
Well, you called it during the break, G-Clef. We are going to BOE. It was not banned, and it's Gen.G's map.
Yeah, and Hanzo has been really highly contested today. And
yeah.
Phantom's Hanzo, of course, a great player ever since Open Division. And had some great arrows to save his teammates, or even engaging. And this map, we need Hanzo for sure. Even banned material.
Yeah, well, BOE is a map where Li-Ming is also going to be very contested.
Yeah, some first pick Li-Ming's coming out.
We saw the good old classic Li-Ming hammer ETC yesterday. Did not work, but crushed the early game, did Feliz in Game 3. Supernova will have first pick. They banned Tomb of the Spider Queen, which has been, in recent times, a great map for Gen.G, so you can't ban 2 maps, so eventually you will have to face them here if Gen.G has map choice.
They have been banning Sergeant Hammer, 2 out of 2. On this map, it does follow the pattern. Gen.G would love to... Get me out of here, Wolf!
Well, there's the Hanzo ban, so I guess Li-Ming...
I think they're self-banning No Chat's Illidan. No Chat, you don't get to play this anymore.
Yeah,
it's like whenever has a Gazlo on Hero League, you ban Gazlo because you don't want it in your team.
They're trying to get Genji, I think. They're not going to get Genji, but they can get Li-Ming now. And they can control this draft. This is kind of weird.
So many open. White Main's open. Rainer's open.
Thing is, like, Rainer is a good pick. White Main's strong here, but like Maiev, for example, is pretty worthless on this map, in my opinion. I mean, with some exceptions, depends on if you can make a comp around it. But Diablo is also open, and Diablo has gone through both of our Game 1 and 2 drafts. But when you have Maiev and Diablo open, that's kind of where I was going with this.
We did see one Medivh game as well, and they already have a big control. Of course, I wouldn't say it's the best map for Maiev. Like, if you're talking like Shrines or like Cursed, I would 100% follow Maiev. But they do need to have some synergy in this case.
This is maybe a Sergeant Hammer ban. Banning the Garrosh, interesting.
They don't want any more PLs other than Nirel.
Yeah, I mean, with what they have, they could really shut down a hammer, depending on the positioning. But there's there's other tanks that can peel really well. And Ubrok's decent at that. Tyrael's the older one that was more popular in the past, but probably won't be seeing that today. Sokka doesn't get to play Deckard. It's going to be playing a different support. Probably going to be the Karazim again.
Yes.
There it is. And there's Raynor. That was absolutely 110% going to happen no matter what.
And this Blaze to finish off. I think they got a solid draft. No problem to get the damn DPS, but while you have Karazim, Diablo can collect souls, be the solid tank and bunker. You know, the story. Li Ming era White Mage, we're still missing a lot. Cassia all of a sudden.
Cassia's really strong here because of her blind.
Weak against CC though.
Yeah, that's true. There's the Blaze, you already called it. I like her here actually. She can struggle against the Diablo Maiev, but not so much in lane, I think, with this comp. Maybe on the Immortal itself. That's where that problem's going to come through. I'm a little bit more puzzled by the Muradin pick. They could have even picked an ETC here, and I would have liked it better.
I think Heaven just feels a lot better of a player to actually escape, because once that there's Karazim on the other side, 7-sided will be a problem for any tank. And when he has an escape with a toss, I think maybe his best option, the most solid one.
He has played only Muradin today, which will put him at 16 Muradins this season. It's twice as much as his next most played hero, his Garrosh, at 8. So he's got a lot of Muradin, and it's his preference. But I think that if he played an ETC, there's so much more appeal. He's only played 2 games of ETC in 2018, so strays away from that one a little bit, I guess. Well, let's see how this pans out. In terms of the Immortal draft, I think that Supernova has a slightly better one, but Gen.G has the proper counter, so it's going to go either way, and obviously the DPS output for reset on Raynor is going to be insane.
Exterminator! Finally! Finally, we do have Exterminator in Korea.
I picked this on this map, actually.
Yeah, but I was expecting this to come out a lot more, but eventually it was just ace in the hole, because it's one of the most, still the broken talent, but this is, of course, we're on the patch. White main balance patch.
Yeah, I play this on this map in Braxis. That's where I play Exterminator. Just because Braxis, like, if you get behind, you can do a lot to remedy that. And you control a 4-man. Like, that's one of the other reasons why this is strong on the 2-lane map. Like, Reset's going to do less damage here to Bentham, but it's okay, because it's going to be worth it later.
Oh, Saki, you may regret dashing in. Yes, he does.
I think if he takes Ace in the hole, Bentham is dead. But let's see what, you know, just talking about level 1s, but let's see what happens once the Immortals pop out, you know, that extra damage there.
Also, early game White main does. And at that moment, all she had to do was heal Cassia only.
Yep.
And it's really easy. Really, really easy. Press QQ.
Yeah, you lose all your mana, but it's okay.
Yeah, she already hearth back home.
Yeah, you hearth back home, you come back really quickly. The distance between the 4-man lane here and your Hall of Storms is actually quite small on this map. It's a pretty small battleground in general. It's very compact. So it doesn't feel too bad to have to go home like that. I think this build is going to be the build for White main forever.
Unless they have some mean. Ooh, that's a pretty nice call.
Okay, but no check gets a reset.
Great
Tist
snipe,
is probably dead. Oh, gets out.
No check finding that hole.
That spell armor, man, that Diablo has saved his life. Straight up. It's crazy to see that, but against Li Ming, it's so smart. I see that, you know, they see that icon, you see that little, like, silhouette, I guess is the best way to describe it, that floats around Diablo, and you're like, well, if you didn't have that, you'd be so donezo in that moment. Well, there you're getting that Exterminator value.
Every moment on this map.
Pretty much.
It's actually really fun without Hanzo, without the regular Immortal Racers, I would say. Raynor is certainly one of them with that level 1 talent.
So they want to clear bot before they send theirs. It'll be better time with the Immortal. Gen.G's playing this really smart. Take note of this, by the way, Hero League players. This is actually how you want to do this. If you wait, then you get more impact with your camp, because it's going to be... They're going to have to deal with it during the Immortal. Whereas, as you can see here, Gen.G has dealt with their enemy camp before the Immortal really has started. So if you time it out this way, you're always going to accomplish more, like no matter what. I mean, obviously you could see here, like Gen.G's kind of forced back a little bit, and they have to deal with the neutral camp as well, so that's a little bit frustrating. But when we look at the Immortal health already, they're in there, and Urel's top because she has to deal with that camp.
Yeah, around 10 seconds before Immortal is actually fine. 10 to 15. Not the perfect time. Got the extra crowd control.
Scary moment there for Rich. Well, he's got his vault away. Well, they lead the charge in terms of this health for now, as Haben looks for... oh, so sad. Looks for the gank onto Rich. Rich is ready. And that actually costs Alex his life, well, that rotation to attempt to kill Rich. Sake, very low though. Kurisaku gets in there and gets the kill. Tist is going to fall into a similar fate. Nice charge through, but it's not going to be enough to save him. That's another reset for Bentham, or excuse me, for No Chat. That's going to be another one. And, you know, I think Reset should be careful. He wanted it, but it's not going to have it.
And also Bentham just trusting White Mane that because he will be healed whenever he will be the one to get all the crowd control from Diablo, other than White Mane, who should be just on the far back. You can actually heal your allies super far back with that level 1 as well.
Yeah, he knows 3 things. He knows that Ace in the Hole is not taken, so there's less damage. He knows he has his passive armor while moving against auto attacks, and he knows that White Mane is there to back him up. So with those 3 things in mind, the Sake, not Sake, the Cassia pick. I don't know why Sake was on the brain there. The Cassia pick is great here. Now Gen.G will still, in part thanks to Exterminator, take this Immortal, but they're actually going to get collapsed on right here. Deny the globes. They want to fight.
They take the globes instead.
Yeah.
They do have Cassia who can actually push along with Bentham. Sake focused. No one to dash towards to.
You know what? The fact that they were able to get those globes actually made a big impact in the fight as well. Like, Alex needs that mana. If the fight goes longer, he's got his level 4 talent now, so obviously it's a little bit easier. But they got a kill, and that means that Gen.G, with a really strong pushing comp with Raynor, especially with Exterminator, can't do as much with this Immortal as they would have liked to. And this is the kind of play for Supernova where I say this is one of the nights where Supernova's on. You know, I talked about how they're very inconsistent. Tonight's the good play. This is the good Supernova that we're watching right now.
Bentham today with Hanzo and Cassia. Very aggressive, but he trusts his support. And that's what Alex is doing, even though he's not playing his best with the Alex Raza. Still, White Mane is so strong with that Inquisition build.
Yeah. And wait till 10, you know, that's when it's going to get even tougher to dive on the Li Ming, try to kill that hero. No Chat is flying around getting kills with Calamity, getting his health back while also having 40 armor. The Exterminator pick, we talked about how much value it's going to have for the lane and for the Immortals, but, you know, I start to wonder if actually it might have cost them because they need that extra damage.
Getting focused! Barely vaults away with the Spirit.
No Chat is so low, and everyone else on Gen.G is too. So I think Gen.G needs to be careful. Nice blocks by Tist. He's got the spell armor, and he's just going to let them hearth away. That's a good tank right there.
No Chat's skill shot has been pretty decent today. Like, just targeting one target, making sure he has those resets. And we actually have reset on the Raynor, not the common, and just like game 1. And reset not really following up perfectly with the finishing of Bridge. It seems like they're on to different minds of what they want to do individually here.
Yeah. Well, 10's up for Supernova right as the Immortal starts. And we have this camp taken. They're going to start it first, but they need to be careful about staying here. They know where everyone on Supernova is, and it's not very far away. Okay, that was a nice attempt to get the stun off there by Haben, but it doesn't work out. He has avatars, so he can actually play this aggressively. Scarlet Aegis is going to be the lifesaver here. It's practically as good as the bunker. You can still cast abilities during it. Bunker's not even ready yet. They're just using this pressure to win the Immortal trade. Gen.G is, meanwhile, putting reset down here so they can get 10. and they have that top push coming through. So macro-wise, Gen.G is doing everything they can.
Heaven so far has been protecting his teammates so well, actually giving pressure against this. That's the Muradin power actually getting focused. At level 10, they will try to focus down Muradin with the 7-sided.
Yeah, it just he's playing around this before they have it so well. Now it's here. He locks it in, but it's
they lost
too late.
They do have to, all they have to do is escape, but actually Heaven goes in, diving into Rich, who actually has vault.
Alex has to try to Q himself here to stay alive. He had the Scarlet Aegis. They overextended a little bit in this fight. 7-sided got locked in at the last second. Gen.G wins the fight, but they have to deal with a very heavily shielded Immortal. But the game is now back in their hands. Got the extra soak and push bot. He being the only survivor has to hearth home. So, you know, no one is soaking experience right now. And Gen.G is just, because of they know this fact, they're not even going to hearth home, they clear this immediately. There's another, you know, tip for people in Hero League. Just because you're low health and low mana doesn't mean you have to go home. In situations like this, when you know everyone's dead and or hearthing, it's actually better to kill the Immortal first and hearth home afterwards.
Because they have the DPS against the Immortal really fast. So that didn't really cost them too much. I think the fort is not even scratched. Even the fountain right next to it either. So they don't really get too much damage. They actually catch up in the XP by taking all the kills back to themselves.
Yeah, and just 2 waves of minions lost for Supernova during that time while they were all in the Hall of Storms is another big turning point. Gen.G doesn't have... They have control of this game now, but they don't have a massive advantage yet either. And if Supernova just continues to make good picks like they have been all game long, they could certainly still take this. 7-sided being locked in there and just turning that fight was huge. Rich dodging that.
It is caged, but they have Aegis. Cleanse onto Heaven to survive. Nice Aegis to get all the 40 armor.
Yeah. Oh, and that's going to be the first reset for No Chat. The bunker is not going to last forever. He gets a second one here, but he does go down eventually. Sake is just cleaning them up one by one. The dominoes fall. And it was so close again, but they get the kill onto No Chat, and that's the most important part. If he lives, different story here. Hirosaka just buying time. So hard to kill your elf.
40 plus 35. We're going to do the math, but they only last for, I think, Aegis 4 seconds. And when you have Bunker, if you're just in there, you can just waste that time for the team fight and then do the damage when the armor is off. Gen.G had the right idea. That's why they were... It seemed like, oh, Supernova has too much armor. They're actually going to win this team fight, but Bunker getting that maximum value.
They were just really patient with it, to be honest. It's crazy to see how much Scarlet Aegis nullifies Lightning Breath, though. Because both fights, like, Tista's done almost no damage with that, despite the fact he's hitting everyone. He's just doing 40% less damage than he normally would be. Uh-oh, Ventham's made a critical mistake here. That's going to be a death. Aegis has to be popped, and he still might not live.
Oh, the heals.
Okay.
Alex resetting all that as well. So the damage rate is not even here.
Well, that was, you know, I think... I don't want to say he was, you know, making the master plan here, like he was baiting super hard, but, you know, it almost looked like it for a second. It's another cooldown burn. It's not the longest cooldown in the game or anything like that, but Gen.G has heroic advantage right now. They have half of the immortal health for Supernova down. Had they gotten a kill off of that or something like that, then it's totally cool, but now it feels like Gen.G got the better end of the trade.
Still have to go in. They do have cages, which was not really used to me. And there's 7-sided, focused on many targets though. Lightning Ball doing a lot of, but when they go in, Rich will be focusing a lot of them.
Yeah, Hyperion actually doing a lot of damage in this fight as well, just overall. And No Check can't get his resets.
Supernova, they need to find the kill. And when they're all spread apart, and Rich's position on all the heroes, he's always on the side. Because he does trust in his teammate, also he's pretty confident with his own skill and his positioning.
And notice the bunker wasn't used in that fight too, so had things gotten even more dire, they would have been able to utilize the bunker. They spread because they knew they didn't need to use the bunker, and they wanted to make sure that Li Ming didn't do too much damage with the burst. If you split like this, you really minimize what Li Ming can do.
Fully shielded Immortal.
Yeah, I mean, we're 13 minutes into the game now. This will start hitting the keep with ranged attacks. Or, sorry, the keep wall with ranged attacks. So this is going to be really tough for Supernova to deal with. They don't have dive either, so...
By that time, all the heroics should be back. So less things to worry about, but Gen.G will be close to 16.
Rich trying to set up for an engage.
Well, that's Irel, so not the best target. They want to look for Cassia and Leeming.
They're not even looking for kills. They're just threatening Supernova so the Immortal can get into position here with a bigger creep wave. And as I was saying, you know, it's got ranged attacks here, so someone's got to engage for Supernova, and they don't have a hard engage.
HGC. Rich not finding the hole to go in. There's a bunker to buy time. They get Cassia. That's most of the damage. Not finding a kill for Leeming. That's the biggest challenge. No chance focus, and he's going down as well.
Yeah, he's trying to survive through here with all the armor, but it's not going to happen. Gen.G gets the full team wipe.
Can actually be core now.
And this happens because Supernova knows that they have to engage. Well, they have no hard engage to speak of, and they're doing it against the bunker. This is not their fault, but it's a fault of the composition they're running when you lose the Immortal with full shields and it's doing ranged attacks. You have to hard engage. Gen.G is going to take this series with the 3-0. I think Supernova definitely proved that they can tango with Gen.G, though. They can show us competitive maps here, which, you know, I think given their inconsistency throughout this season of play, not a lot of people expected. I think a lot of people expected we'd see, especially after Sky Temple, a very fast series, but I think Supernova's coordination, their drafting style, is something that, again, if they improve just, I think it was you who said, just the 10%, then suddenly they are one of the best teams in Korea. It's just they're right on the edge of that. And that's really cool to see. New talent, man. And this year, coming up, looking good.
Team had some cool strategies today. They showed up in game 2, especially with that Illidan. Made it work a little bit, even in this BOE final game. I mean, that white main, I think, was not the strongest source, but Bantam actually playing like he has his trust with his support and actually finding the holes. No Chat having some pretty nice Leeming as well. So overall, they had a really nice day. Not that Gen.G played bad. It's just that Supernova, compared to what they have been playing before, it seems like they are slowly upgrading a little bit as a team.
I think the Illidan draft, as much as I, criticized what I thought it was going to be able to do, I think what it really accomplished more than anything else is put Gen.G out of their comfort zone. And that's already saying a lot. And then in Game 3, the Cassia pick worked out so well for so long in that game. Diablo just scaled up super hard. He had spell armor, and he was just not going to be killed because Cassia was the one they really pushed out of position. Eventually, they couldn't kill Cassia, but they were like, well, if you're not doing damage, then Leeming's not killing us. Diablo's blocking most of the Leeming damage, and Rich set up all these really nice fights. And then in the last fight, they had to hard engage because if they don't, then Gen.G just kills the keep and probably wins the game. Because if they don't hard engage, then the Immortal shows up on the core with basically full shields, and then you've lost the game anyway. So they had to fight, but Gen.G was so ready for them. And that's how, it all comes to an end.
And it was also pretty cool seeing the Exterminator, what differences it could have made if he actually went for the ace in the whole early game. Maybe they could have found more kills and actually put them in the lead, which will be a total different game. But we saw the difference for taking it. Faster Immortal clear, faster Immortal taking, and the camp, it helps. But when you're fighting the team fight, the damage source you lack in a little bit. Maybe you want to look for that later on. Yeah,
we saw in the score screen as well there that the damage for reset was really low compared to an average Rainer game, so you could see how much of an impact that makes. Here are our 3 battlegrounds and our final score. I think, these types of score screens are sometimes redundant, but look at this visual representation of what we just talked about. As we are going to have some highlights in a moment and then a winner's interview with Gen.G. I think for me today, I always want to hear from Rich because he's so good at so many different heroes. He's got a wide hero pool, but hearing from Sake would be nice for me today. He played Karzim and didn't get to play much Deckard, which is almost exclusively been playing like Meriday since his release. So maybe talking about the changes there, the challenges there when Deckard's banned would be cool.
Yeah. Also, I want to maybe have ask him where he thinks White main is right now as a support.
Yeah.
First tier, 1.5. I think she's pretty up there, so for sure. But it's due to like her not having as much CC compared to what Decker can actually create in that team fight. Of course, she does have some major amount of healing, but it's just not the same. The role of a support, only healing, but providing some CC post 13, having cleanse, that's a plus. But Deckard is overall just much better with slows, the roots, and the potion giving shields as well. Post 4.
He's just so good at zoning. And that's what Malfurion's good at too, but Deckard's even better at it because he has a slow that does like more damage than Moonfire. It's crazy.
You can even do more damage later on with the talent with the scroll as well.
Yeah. I think another player that'd be interesting to hear from would be Reset because he actually played Raynor today instead of Rich, and that's kind of not really his comfort zone. Like he plays mostly mages or kind of projectile type DPSs.
Like Junkrat?
Yeah, so to see him play Raynor today really well was actually pretty cool. Obviously in this game, you know, things snowballed out of control really early, and there just wasn't much that they could do. I mean, this is always a cool fight to take a look at, but I said during this team fight, like, if there was a surrender button, they'd be wondering if it was pro rules legal to press it, because that game was definitely over.
Nochat battle rolled the way to dodge that arrow, but still got hit right after. Yeah, this was the moment where Rich was alone, but you make the same rotation once you're forced to rotate around. You're actually late for the team fight. Look at Nochat, he does not win that 1v1.
Yeah,
Gen.G's in a better position, but now split. Look at that.
He's cleansed by Alex again, but it's just the fight is already over, and like now they're just on, like I don't know what the word for this is, just crisis management at that point. It's like, well, how many people can we save? Now there was some really cool moments here with Cassia, and Bentham survived through a lot of these fights, but when Nochat couldn't get resets, as you can see here, it just started to go out of their control. Like, Nochat's full health because his positioning is so good, he's always got the good max range orbs, but the longer fights will always go to, in this case, Diablo. He's got so much health, he's got so much health regen. We're going to find out who we're going to hear from. It is going to be Tist, in fact, tonight. So G-Clough, take it away with the translation.
우선 압도적인 경기 축하드립니다.
Congratulations on your dominant win.
네, 승리 너무 축하드리고요. 오늘 정말 압도적인 플레이 보여주셨는데 소감 한마디 들어볼 수 있을까요?
How does it feel?
네, 오늘은 아무래도 좀 긴장 안 하고 오긴 했는데
today
2세트 때
we came here without any nerves, but the second game was
마지막에
quite stressful.
긴장하면서 한 것 같아요.
And which made the final game, the third game, a little bit nerve-wracking.
아 그리고 저는 이제 저
created some nerves for us.
오프 더 레코드 인터뷰 나와주셔가지고 얘기 나눴지만 TT라는 아이디 어원을 좀 궁금해하시는 분들 계실 것
How
같아요.
did you come up with
시청자분들한테 간단하게 얘기해주세요.
With the
TTSST는
TTSST.
정말 아무런 뜻이 없고요. 그냥
Doesn't mean
막
anything.
지은 아이디예요.
It's a broken ID. I just typed I just from what I know.
시청자분들
He
입장에서는
just typed
스릴
anything
넘치는
and it just
경기였을
came
수
out to be
있겠지만
TTSST.
당황했을 것 같아요. 핵각을 줄 수 있는 그런 위기의 순간이
Pretty sure you
있었는데
guys were surprised.
어떻게 그
They almost had a core
극복하실
call.
생각이셨나요?
Game 2.
일단 핵각인 것 같긴 했는데 일단 최대한
We thought it was a core call.
끝까지
We thought it was possible from
마인드로
Supernova, but we tried to take it slow.
계속 이제 투석기 핵이 안 붙게 만들고
And making sure the
상대방
catapult was not
계속
close to
핵을
it.
못 치게 막으려고 했었어요. 저는.
And I tried to
네.
just
그때 뭐 예전에
keep things
말씀해주신
away from the core.
것처럼 이제 젠지 팀은 항상 이제 경기할 때 약간 조용한 편이라고 하셨잖아요.
네.
오늘 2세트 마지막 때도 굉장히 다들
And
조용했나요?
of course,
아니면
Gen.G's known as
엄청
a team who's super
흥분했었나요?
quiet, not really making too
흥분은
many
딱히 안
calls.
하고 그냥 다들
Were you guys
침착하게
screaming out at the end though?
네, 침착하게 해가지고 막은 것 같아요. 나머지 3명이.
그
I think we were
상황에서도
too
다들
calm
침착하게
for
대처를
that end of game
잘했던
2. I think
건가요?
that's why we
끝까지
actually had a
모르는
pretty
거니까.
bad game.
역시 1위 팀다운 그런 답변이었던 것 같은데요. 그럼 2세트에 그렇게까지 핵각을
no wonder
사실
you guys
이번
are number
페이지
one.
젠지 팀이 핵각까지 내줬던 경기가 많이 거의 없죠. 아예 없었죠.
There are close to no
그쵸.
games that
오랜만에 쫄깃한 경기
You guys
하셔서 좀
actually
긴장하셨을 것 같은데
open up all the way to the
오늘
core, or
이렇게
the enemy is
고전했던
actually
이유
doing damage to your
2세트 뭐라고
core.
생각하십니까?
아무래도
What do you think were some of the
좀
problems?
처음부터 좀 많이 꼬인 것 같고
Even
이제
starting from the
템틱적으로도
beginning, I think we were
좀
just
많이
tangled up
힘들었던 것
all
같아요.
together.
1, 2단을 죽일 딜이 안 나와가지고
네.
거기서
And we
좀
didn't
많이
really have
고전했어요.
total damage to actually bring down Illidan.
그리고 1, 2단도
So that was
사실
the main
굉장히 힘들었지만 화이트 메인 유지력도 무시할 수 없었던 것
Not
같아요.
just Sheldon,
일단은
also white
살려줄 수
main
있는 데 있어서.
was really strong
근데 이제
sustaining.
2세트 이후에도 3세트에도 노블레스 코치가 화이트 메인 풀어주면서
Game
또
2, 3, you
나와버렸는데
guys just let that white
디아블로
main through.
고르셨잖아요. 3세트는 좀 어떻게 플레이하실 생각이 있으셨나요?
What were some of the things going
화이트메인이
through
유지력이 그렇게 아주
starting game
좋다고는 생각 안 해요. 한 방
I think white
버티는
main
게
has
좋다고
really-
생각해가지고
아,
이제 어그로를
Really good
핑퐁한다고
sustain.
하죠.
네.
한번 들어갔다가 바로 빠지면서 또 싸우면은 거기서 좀 많이 힘이 빠지는 것 같아가지고
She does a really good
그런
burst too,
위주로
but once we go out
플레이했던 것
right
같아요.
after the
아
initial
그래서
first
약간 젠지 팀에서는 화이트 메인에 대해서
first fight
평가가
and then we engage.
나쁘진 않아요. 네.
White main does
나쁘진
not have
않지만
is
그래도
not
일-
as
첫 번째
powerful in terms of
배너로는-
네,
healing.
나름 상대법을 알고 있는 것 같아요.
So I think we
아, 그래서
actually have
이렇게
pretty good
연속으로
understanding how to
풀어주셨던
counter.
네 알겠습니다. 그리고
White
이제
main, and that's actually the
다음
reason
이제
why we
이번
let her through.
페이지 내내 1위를 단독으로 달리고 있으신데요.
And of
다음
course, you guys
경기에
are
대한
number one
각오도
in
안
the
들어볼 수
standings.
없겠죠.
일단 블리즈컨 편하게 가기 위해서
We want to go to
유지
BlizzCon
계속 해보도록
and have a safe path
노력하겠습니다.
아 그럼 이제
And we
앞으로
wanna
경기
have our
3세트도
best
내주지
games.
않으실 건가요?
So are you not going to
그건
have
잘
any risk?
모르겠고 최대한 노력해 볼게요.
네
We'll
알겠습니다.
try to have our
정말
best
오늘
3Os
멋진
all
인터뷰
the time.
감사드리고요. 제가 마지막에 끝날 때 항상 하는 요게 있어요. 같이 해주시면 좋을 것 같아요. 네, 자 저희는 잠시 쉬었다가
Seems like
이
that's it.
경기
And she's going to have a ceremony,
이
guys.
경기에 다시
But we will be
돌아오도록
back for match number 2, Tempest
감사합니다.
versus Blue.
기다리면